Welcome to another live stream, my 10th live stream, and I have done this for 5 weeks in a row now. A new personal record. Earlier when I've tried to stream, I've just done it for 1 or 2 times, but now I have done it for 5 weeks and I will continue to do it. So hopefully you will enjoy it. I think it's really fun that we have more and more viewers. So if you have feedback how I can do this better, please reach out to me. But today we will continue to work with the Azure API, or the API that we are hosted in Azure is maybe a more correct way to say it. What we did last time was that we worked with the search indexer. So we have a search index in Azure that we can use in the app that we used to build in the streams. But I think this is the third episode in row where I'm working with the backend. So this is maybe the last Azure episode for a while. If we can finish the API, at least finish a few methods that we can use when we are working with the app. And then the app is a mobile app built with mobile Blazor binding from Microsoft that is basically Xamarin Forms with Blazor syntax. And experimental projects that are open source, of course, as the most things Microsoft does nowadays. So, and I think it's a really interesting product because Xamarin Forms can be a little bit verbose from time to time, especially if you're working with MVVM. So I think it's nice to go with Blazor. But as I used to say, don't use it for productions apps right now because it's not ready for that. It's just an experimental product, but I think it's fun to play with. And for smaller apps, it's maybe okay to use even for production apps, but there are missing some really important controls like collection view, for example, that you want if you want to build high performance apps. But let's continue with the API. Today I think we should do HTTP endpoints for search, maybe for getting categories, so we can in the app browse the category tree, maybe for fetching single products or fetching products in a category. So let's dive into Visual Studio. But we're here. We can close a lot of windows because this is where we ended last time with Indexer. It's an Azure Function projects where we have one function that we can trigger via HTTP, for example, from an admin UI that we maybe will build later in later streams. And then we have one that function that is triggered by a CosmosDB trigger. So every time a document change in the Cosmos database, it will trigger this function to run and the index will be updated. So that's nice, I think. So today we will create new functions. So let's do that. And the first one will be to search for products, because I don't want to build a function, or we can use an API if we want, that has the search engine behind it. Because if we want to change search server, we don't need to do changes in the app or other clients. So that's the reason why I want to have this in a function. But I can see I did this in the wrong way. We should not add new file. We should add function to get the function templates to here. So HTTP trigger right now we would want to be anonymous. So search products. We can. So now this will be HTTP trigger by get and post by default. We maybe just want it to be get for now. We can remove the most of the default here. We can for now just set OK object, OK result, I mean, like this, so we can work with it without any errors. So we can, for example, instead of name, we can have text, search text. Read that from the query string. Text. Then we can go here to the product indexer and copy some code from last time. For example, we can take this for accessing the Azure Search service. Yeah, let's put it in the function right now. Then we can refactor it later, as we did with the indexer, where we first had it in the function, then we refactor it to be in this shared product indexer class, so we can access it from two different functions. But just let's get this working right now. Import the namespace Microsoft Azure Search, and that is a NuGet package that we installed. We have Azure Cosmos, Azure Search installed for this Azure Function project. So Search Client, then we have a different indexes, so we can take a look here, see what we named it. Maybe we can do this as a public constant, and we can use it from other places in this project as well. So we can get the index, we can do the async if we want to. So product indexer dot search index name, like this. And now we have the index, and let's see if we can search from it here. Name is course fields suggested. Let's go to the documentation to see how we can work with the actual search index. If Azure, I should do like this instead. Open my stream profile. We can go to open Azure portal as well and see what we have in the index. Then we can Azure search C#. Go and read the documentation. Create search index. Yes, search an index. Let's see here how to do that. Okay, I think search client have as we have. Okay, we don't need to fetch the index first. Search index dot search. So search. We don't have that method. Let's go back and check what we did wrong. Search client. Then they created search options. Search client search. Okay. Strange. Search results. Search client. Is this another search client that we have? Yeah, okay, we have a search service client. Okay, let's try to create a new search client instead. Search. So that maybe is the difference. When you're searching, you will use one, and if you update the index, you will use another one. Search client. Search index client. Search service client. Client that can be used to query an index and upload, merge, and delete the documents. Okay. Let's try to use that one, but this one, in this example, seems that they used another one. Okay, strange. Maybe they have another NuGet package. Let's go and see what they added in the beginning. Azure Search Documents is the one that they used. Okay, that's maybe another one. Wonder what is the best to use, but we can see if you can use this one. Credentials, search service name, index name, and credential. So first we will have search instance name. We will pass index name, product indexer dot search index name. Then you search credentials, search key. Okay, interesting that they are having multiple libraries for this. I guess the other one is maybe more for client side development maybe. But let's see if we can use this dot search query garden long search documents dot search. We can try to do it like this. Document search text. Yes, let's try to just do that. Search text. Remove that one. Then we will get the document back. What happens if we do like this instead? Product index model or result. Yeah, now you have a document search result of product index model. Let's see what we have in that. Okay. Count coverage results. Okay. Maybe we should name this response instead. Otherwise we'll have result.result. Response.result. Feels better if you ask me. Can we do this async as well? Yes, we can. Wait. So this is a list of search result product index model. Okay. Let's see what we can do with that. Select dot and document is our product index model. Okay. So, but we probably don't want to return this product index model to the clients. So instead we can do a new model that we can call, for example, product search product item or something like that. Product item or search result item kanske. Maybe search result item. Search result item. And then we want to have ID, title, and maybe body. Maybe we should have at least put one of the images into the search result as well. Let's do that. Let's add one more property here. Public string image. And just add one image to the search result so you can fetch it easily. It should not be searchable, but it should be retrievable. True, because we don't want to search in the image URL. Set that string, or maybe you can do it nullable because all images will not have an image, but all images will have a collection name. Did I say all images? All products will have a collection tied to it. Okay, now we have to rebuild the index before we will get image result, but we don't do that during this stream. Instead, we will continue to write the code. Then I can trigger the rebuild for the next stream. But we need to go here and maybe do some updates when we're creating the search model. Here. Image is product dot images dot first or default. If you use first, it cannot be null, but in this case it could be null. Okay. If let's do like this. If it's not null, then we will take product images dot first. Oh, not here. We should not have first or default dot source. And if it's null, we just have null. Like this. Okay. Then we can continue now with getting the search result. So let's go back to search products function. I see now that we need to structure the project a bit because it will be easier to find the right file then. But let's continue here. So we can do new search result item. We will have ID. Oh, I don't know what happened with the intelligence here. Probably because we didn't add any properties to this. Public string. Let's copy instead. Product index model. Like this. We don't need the attributes here. I don't think we want the body either, so we will just have ID, title, and images. Maybe we would like to have price here as well. So let's add that. Public double, because that could be nice to have in a search result. Set. Then we also need to update it here. I can copy that one because we don't want that to be searchable either. Price, search, product indexer. Let's add price is product dot. Okay, product. Why? Product item should have price. Price. Title. Oh. Okay, let's check. Product. Okay. Seems like I forgot that. And even in the product import item. Okay. I need to fix that later. So I also imported the price to the database with the updater client that I also built, and run in one stream, because we have price in the product JSON that we imported. We can see it here somewhere. I guess we should have price at least. Let's search price. Okay, that's maybe why I don't imported it. Okay, then we need to fix that in another way. Options. Okay, this was a bit strange, but this is based on Shopify export, so maybe they have price separate in some way. but okay, but we can add that to the model, and then we can add some hard-coded values right now. We have added it there. We have added it here soon, but we need, okay, let's go here and update the product item. We already did that. Now we can just have a price here as well. Okay. A search result item. Here we have it. Okay, search product. So we have to map ID, document.id, image, document.image, price, x document.price, title, x document title, of course. Okay, now we have a result. Let's do a tool list there as well. And now we can return an OK object result. Okay, let's try to run this. See what happens, and hopefully it will work. So right now we'll run the Azure Functions Azure Functions runtime locally. So I have all the settings in the local settings JSON file, a file that I don't push to source code because it contains secrets. When we're running it in Azure later, it will be as function settings, and could be added manually or it could be added with a pipeline, for example. So let's try our function here. We have this URL to it, so we can copy that one and open the browser. Okay, here, and we should have a query string. Text is equal to, let's say, ABU. Let's see what happens. Maybe we should have debugged it. Oh, it works. We have result here. We have Pimpelset AB Shimano. This is based on Swedish data, so if you don't understand Swedish, this means this is it's just a fishing rod for ice fishing. Okay, so the search is now working. Then we can build a function for getting all product data. So let's create a new one. Add function, HTTP trigger, anonymous, get product to fetch one product. And in this case, we should fetch it from the Cosmos database, and we need the ID. So let's get that from the query string. We want this just to be able to do via get request. Okay, result. And then we can go to this product indexer to copy some code so we don't have to rewrite it again. Maybe we can do like this instead. We can do a repository for fetching products from the Cosmos database. And why don't do that in a separate project, so we can have another front end, a backend front end, maybe we can say, for that too. So create a library, a .NET Standard library. For now, I can use .NET Standard 2.1. We can change this later to .NET Core 3.1 if we want to, or .NET 5, but Azure Function is not supporting .NET 5 yet, so we need to be on .NET Core 3.1 for now for our function project. So we can call this just backend.core. And we can open that class 1. We can rename it to product repository. Rename class 1, yes. And I also want to rename the file to match the class name. So let's do that here. Then I also want to have an interface for this product repository. So let's create a new class, or an interface. iProduct repository. And why we are doing this is that it makes it possible for us to write unit tests later against it. So we want to have, in this case, get product task. Product item is the one that we want to return. And that is in the models project. We need to create a reference to that. Like this. Import the namespace for system threading tasks and also for the models project. And it usually takes a bit of time before Visual Studio understands that. So let's do it manually. Tackle store.models. Like this. Okay. Now we have that imported. Now we can name the method get, and we want to have ID as a parameter. Okay, let's go back to the class and add the interface iProduct repository like this. Okay, and now we can go and take this code to connect to the database, and yeah, let's start with that. Get product. No, here it is, product repository. So we can do like this. We create the helper method private. Let's see what that returns. Let's set void for now. Get container. So we can get the product container string container name. Then we can add this code for connecting it to the Cosmos database. And now we also need to add the dependencies, the NuGet package, to this core project. Microsoft.azure.cosmos. Here it is, add package. Okay, we need to wait for it to finish. Will take a while. When we're waiting for that, we can also add a package to the function project, so we will be able to use dependency injection in Azure Functions. So manage NuGet packages, and wonder if it is this. No, it should not be that. Let's just try to search fast. Azure Functions dependency injection. Let's double check what NuGet package we need. Microsoft Azure Functions extensions. That is the one we need. And I think we have dependencies to the other one. Yes, we have. So let's install that package to the functions project. Copy it. Search for it. And install it. Now they seems like the Cosmos package is installed. So now we can continue here with our repository code. Yes. Okay. Why not? Let's double check that it is here. Microsoft Azure. Yes, it is. Maybe just okay. Let's do a manual using it again. Microsoft dot. Okay, strange. Let's just copy this instead. When the IntelliSense doesn't want to play with us right now. type of names does not exist. Strange. Let's try to rebuild the project, see what happened. Because we have added the NuGet package, so it should work. We have one build error. The await operator can, yes, of course. Okay, let's change the task here now. We will add a return type later also. Rebuild. 2 errors. Okay, so this one does not return anything. Okay, I understand that. We need to add async here, of course. Maybe if we close this file and open it again, we will have the IntelliSense playing with us. Also, no. Strange. Okay. Return null. Just to get rid of the build error and try to rebuild it to see if it works. Yes, build successful, but we still have errors in the editor. Okay, so it's just related to Visual Studio. If we do like this, close all windows, then we can unload the project, just see what happens, and reload it again. Yeah, now it works better. It will be almost like restarting Visual Studio to unload and reload the project. Okay, then we can go and fetch the container, but we already have written code for that, so we can copy that too. Here we have can name it just container in this context, container, where we can pass the container name here. Container name. No, we don't need to have that because this is the product repository, so we'll only fetch products here. Products. So, and this is a partition key that we gave it when I created the container. For some reasons I misspelled it, so I have to live with that for now until I recreate it. Then we can return the container like this, and now we can start to work with it here. And this is of the type container response. So let's do like this instead. Response container response dot container. And this is a container. So let's add that as the return type here. Then we can go here and get the container. And we will add async keyword to the method head. Await get container. So then we can reuse this code for getting the container in other methods in this repository as well. We can also do like this: private container container and check if we already have created it. Then we don't have to create it again. So let's surround this with an if. No, we don't have to. We can do like this instead. That is better. If container is not null, then we just return it instead. Return. Format the page a bit. Yes, not return. We should return the container, of course. Return container. Like this, and we also need to have that code here. Return container. So now we can reuse the code to create a container, and we don't create multiple containers. So now we have the container. Now we should go and get the product. Container dot get item link queryable. That means that we can use link to get the product. Product item dot single or default can we use. We can also set that this will return null if we don't find any product with that ID. So x.id ID. Okay, like this. Then we can var product on return product instead, like this. And we have a warning here because we have not enabled nullable for this project. So let's do that. Edit project file, nullable, enable. And I think we maybe need to go and change version of C#, because for .NET Standard, at least for .NET Standard 2.0, we have .NET 7.3 as default, but maybe for 2.1 it's 8, but we can set 9 instead, so we can use all of the goodness with C# 9, even if we don't need that right now. So now this should be gone, maybe if we rebuild it. Yes, we still have one warning. Okay, why? Nullable, enable. We don't care about that right now. Let's continue with the function instead. So let's go to the function get product here. Then when we want to use dependency injection, this should not be static. So we remove the static keyword from the class and from the method. Then we create a constructor, get product. Then we have this product repository, and we don't have any dependencies to that project, so let's add that. Backend.core product repository. Okay, let's add the using manually. Backend. Oops, what happened? Backend.core product repository, create a new read-only field for it, and now we can use it here. Product repository, get ID, then yes, we have async or product, wait, so then we can do like this. If product is null, then we, instead of OK result, we can return a not found result. Not found new, not found result. Yeah, like this. And then otherwise we return a new OK object result of product. But to get this working, we also need to configure the dependency injection part. So we need to create a startup. So let's add a new class called startup. And this class should have function startup as the base class. Function startup. Functions startup, okay. What's the problem here? We need to add the abstract members. Configure. Don't need a constructor here, I think. Configure, then builder. Dot services. Dot add singleton, for example, if you want it to be a singleton. Product repository. Okay, so now we have configured dependency injection, but to get this to work, if I remember right, we need also an attribute here. but I don't remember exactly how to write that, so let's go and check the documentation here. Yes, it's an assembly attribute that tells what class to use, and it should be outside of the namespace declaration. So it will be functions dot startup like this. So now it should work. We can set a breakpoint here, and then we can start the project and debug it. Okay, still one error. We have different versions of Microsoft Azure Cosmos. Maybe they have released an update since I created the product, since I created the project for the functions. So let's update that one to 3.17 instead. Yes, I accept the license agreement. Okay, now we can debug it. Just need to wait to compile and start the functions runtime. Okay, now we are closed. Yeah, okay, get product. Let's copy that URL. Product ID is okay. Let's go here to the JSON file and get an ID. Okay, where is that open here? Maybe in documents. So let's take that ID. See if this will work. Will always take a little bit time to start the function runtime the first time. So now we're here. Let's see if we have an ID. Yes. Okay, let's continue. Okay, what happened? Is it just slow or do we have an error? We have an error. Check if a database exists and it doesn't, and if it doesn't create it. Only the database ID is used to verify if there is some problem here. I think container. Did we get a container? Yes, but probably we don't touch it yet. Single or default. Or what is the actual error? I have had problem in this resolution of the display to see the error message since I started streaming, but it is also possible to see it here. Not supported. To execute link query, please set allow synchronous execution true, or use get item query iterator asynchronously. Okay. Let's see, allow synchronous query execution. Okay, where to do that? Maybe on the container. No. On database then. Database. No. Okay, let's search for that. Allow synchronous operation. Copy value. Can't execute link queries. Boom. It's a duplicate of this one. Okay, let's read that one instead. The way you can do this in V3 is using to feed iterator. Where? But I don't have a where. I have a single or default. Maybe I have to use a where. answers there. Let's search on Google instead. See if we have any better result. It's maybe an argument here. True. Okay, so let's see if it will work now. Let's wait to the runtime to start again. Yes. Okay, I removed it, but get product ID is... Oh, then we have to go check the ID again. ID is equal to that one. Okay, let's step debug it. Let's see what happens. We don't have had any breakpoint in it here. Method single or default is not supported. Okay, so single or default is not supported together with Cosmos. Okay, then we need to use where instead, where ID. Then we will, let's see what we will get back then. We will have a I ordered queryable of that one. So let's see, product to single or to list async maybe. To list. Maybe we can use single or default on that one. Let's try. Or maybe just can use single or default. We should only have one item here. Single, but let's do like this to be sure that it will work. If it's supported to do single or default like this, but yeah, I guess we could have used only single or default too. We can try that if this works. Okay, let's go back here. We can move this breakpoint we have here into the repository instead. Set it there. Okay, let's continue. Get the container. Oh, why is that so slow? Or what did happen? Okay. Maybe it will take some time the first time. So let's see if this works now. Yes. Then we have a query there. See if it works, or if we need to add the feed iterator. Looks like that. Yes, that was the same. So to feed to, or what other options do we have? To array, to feed iterator. Okay, iterator, can rename that one to that. Feed iterator, then we can copy the code we have here to fetch it. It's here somewhere. I think we did that. Iterator, yes, here. Or do we have already for products? we can copy that one and replace collection values. Product item. So products, loop through that, add collection product, and we should only have one here, so we can do product, single or default. Let's see what happens. If we have more than one, in this case, it will crash. But we should only have one with each ID in the database. Otherwise, we have other problems. Yes, now we can run it. Yes, we hit the breakpoint, step through it to get a container. Okay, get iterator, loop through it. Now we should have at least, we should have one product here. Yes, and hopefully this is the only one. Yes. No more results. And we're back to the function. We have a product. And then we can return it. Yes. And here the JSON for this. Yes, try to just add some random letters here. So you can see here that we will get a proper 404 back, because we don't find anything. Yes, HTTP error 404 is not an error in this case, it's an expected result, because we send in an ID that is not in the database. And if you have a correct ID, we will get a product back. That's nice. So the next thing we need is the category tree, and we also need to fetch products in a category. So let's try to get the categories first. So we create a new function. HTTP trigger anonymous right now. Get categories like that. We don't want a static function because we want to use dependency injection here too. We only want it to be accessible via get. We don't have any query strings. We will just return the whole category tree in once. So, but we can create a repository. Add new class. I categories repository. Create that one. Change it to an interface instead of a class. Let's go here and see. Maybe we should call it collections repository instead, because we call the model collection. Collections repository, rename, yes. We don't need a constructor for an interface. We should not have a constructor. And then we need to return a task of enumerable of collection. Get. Okay. Let's create a new class. Collection repository like that. collection repository, import the interface. But now we have some code that we can reuse between those repositories. So let's create a base repository for Cosmos repositories at least. So we can call it Cosmos repository. Then we can take this method here, get container, and move that to our Cosmos repository. And we can make the class abstract because we don't want it to be constructed. We just want the other repositories to have it as the base class. Like that. And now we need the parameters here. String collection name, and we need a partition key. String partition key. Then we can replace it here. Collection name, partition key. Okay. But now it cannot be private. It can be have it protected instead. So it can only be accessible from classes that has this repository as a base class. So go to the product repository and we should add a base class, Cosmos repository. And we still have the interface here. And products, and we have this misspelled partition key. Okay, let's check how I spelled it. Like that. So okay. So now we can copy that row to the collection repository. But instead we can use collections here. I think I had the same partition key there too. Add async there, and we need to add the Cosmos repository as a base class. So we can copy this code. No, we can copy it from here instead, where it's more or less the same. Product repository, collection repository, iterator. Okay, we need to copy that part, of course, too. Container. To feed iterator, then we need this namespace, Microsoft Azure.cosmos.link, and then we just need to return collections. And the nice thing right now is that we can replace this part in the product indexer. So we instead are using the shared repository for fetching collections. So let's do that. We need a constructor to inject the collection repository, product indexer, collection repository, use the interface here, and let the dependencies injection container resolve it. Can create a field like that. Then we can remove all of this code right now. And var collections is equal to await collections repository.get. So now we have more code reuse and a code that are easier to maintain. So let's go to that function and change how we create the product indexer. and that is this update products indexer method. This should not be a static one anymore. We add a constructor, public update product indexer, like this. Add it to field. Then we don't need to create the instance of it. Can do like that, but now we also need to go to the startup and add both the collection repository and the indexer. Single I collection repository and add the indexer to builder.services.add singleton product indexer, just like this when you don't have an interface for it. Products indexer, where is the function? Update products, yes, it's used there. And where is the other function that retriggers the whole index? Start. Yeah, that one. Rebuild search index. We should rename that file too, so it matched the class name, so it will be easier to find. Rebuild search index. This should not be static anymore. Let's add a constructor. Public. Rebuild search index. It will take a product indexer like this. And we can use the product indexer here. We can remove that line. And then we use it like this. Okay, let's go back to the collections function. Get categories. Let's rename it to get collections. Rename the file and the class. Rename file to get collections. But to change name for the function, we also need to change the attribute here, like that. Okay. So let's create a constructor. Get collections, take in the collections repository. Or collections is collections repository. Collections repository.get. We need an await here. Then we can return the result. Okay, let's see if this works. And this is the last thing we do for this stream. I will be back next Tuesday, and then we'll do some mobile development again, and we will also do the last function for getting products based on collections. Type or namespace. Okay, we have too many of those. Just wait for it to start. Yes, it will soon be ready for us to test the function. Get collections, copy that one. Let's write it instead. Here, get collections. It will take a few seconds the first time we run it. And hopefully it will work. Yes, here we have all the collections. And that was everything for today. I will push this code to the GitHub repository. So you can find it if you want to try to run it or try to play around with it. It is there for you. Thank you very much for watching this stream, and if you have any feedback, as I said in the beginning, just reach out to me. The easiest way to do that is on Twitter, @Hindrikes. You can send a tweet to me or a direct message if you prefer that. Thank you very much. See you on Tuesday.